Hello there, this is Max from Cynical Who. I was not initially going to do this video. I was going to wait until the trial of Cynical Who. Well, I wasn't going to wait until the trial of Cynical Who was going to be the only video that features me that I was going to put out on the channel, and that would be my last contribution to the channel. That will be coming out next Friday. And I was done with the channel. I was going to leave it there, but we had the big Doctor Who panel. I use the term big very loosely. Last night, as I recall this, happened on Thursday, this 30-minute panel at New York Comic Con, and I'm a bit late to this, but I just wanted to vent my spleen on it very quickly. We knew in advance that, a month in advance, that this panel was going to be happening, and it was going to be about Revolution of the Daleks. Jodie, Whittaker, Bradley Walsh, and Mandip Gill would be appearing and talking about it, and everyone got, excited for a trailer or something like that, even though nothing was confirmed. There's my phone beeping, stupid WhatsApp messages. But people got excited, sort of expecting a trailer to happen, because this special called Revolution of the Daleks, whatever it's called, is only 2 months away. It's supposed to be end of the year, Christmas, New Year, which is a matter of weeks. And we've not heard anything about it since March. So people expected something a bit more substantial than a rough release date that we kind of already knew, but nothing definite other than a comment that was put in the YouTube live chat by the organisers of Comic-Con, implying that it is coming out Christmas Day, which is the rumour, and it's certainly what I would prefer compared to New Year's Day, because I think Christmas Day you do get a better atmosphere, and viewers tend to be more willing for an episode of Doctor Who, whereas the mood is a bit more dour on New Year's Day. It's a worthy experiment that I'm glad they tried, and I can see why they tried it, but I think Christmas is just a better time. Christmas Day is a better time for an episode of Doctor Who, and it doesn't even need to be about Christmas. But aside from that and a couple of photos, we didn't really find anything out, which has angered a lot of people. Faris has done a pretty good video that I recommend you check out, and I understand people's frustration, because it does seem to me as well that they're not really doing a good job of publicising their own show. It does. I agree. It feels quiet, too quiet. And ever since Chibnall took over the show, I mean, we had Comic-Con in 2018 when Series 11 was about to come out. We haven't had anything quite like the storm for Series 11 since then. You get a sense Chibnall doesn't really like to do big promotion for the show. He prefers to keep it low-key and not spoil audiences. That would probably be his excuse. He's known for being secretive. There was a lot of hoo-ha about Broadchurch going to great lengths to keep everything secret. But as other people have pointed out, maybe they're going a bit too far with it with regards to Doctor Who, because it just seems a bit low-key. I don't think they should have done a whole trailer, a minute long, say, this early on, because of course it's still a few weeks away. You want to build it up slowly, but I think surely there could have been more photos. Surely there could have been like a 20-second teaser, at least something that featured the Daleks. Other people have pointed this out, but I have to agree that it felt very, insert word here. But let's talk about the photos that we did get, because they are very, very interesting. I mean, there is stuff to unpack, and they were discussed in the chat by the actors who star in them. So one of the pictures was, and that will hopefully appear here, so the 3 companions who are confirmed to be reappearing, but the jury's out as to whether or not this will be their final episode or not. I think the TARDIS team needs a bit of a shake-up. I was a little bit angered that they didn't leave at the end of the last series. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. I would like all 3 companions to go and a single companion who's actually got a well-defined character. But we'll see as to whether or not that actually happens. Certainly from the looks of it, and we also got synopsis as well, so it follows on from the last episode. The Doctor's still in prison, and while this is going on, we cut to and fro between the Doctor in prison and the three companions on their own, trying to get to the bottom of this Dalek-related mystery, which is what's happening in this kitchen photo that, like I said, is very interesting. I don't quite know what the mindset was of the publicity people who thought that would be an interesting photo. But I don't know, maybe I'm talking out my arse. I do worry a bit. Well, no, actually, let's move on to the second photo, which is Jodie Whittaker in prison, and obviously doing the tally marks like you do when you're in prison. I know, I've been there, only joking. And the thing that's caught my attention was, once again, the 13th Doctor has a different costume. This is a sort of red cloak that looks to be a prison jumpsuit. The first thing that came to mind when I looked at it was Handmaid's Tale, the Margaret Atwood book that you study at A-level English that's apparently really good. I mean, apart from the partition, it wasn't really my cup of tea, but I feel like this book that has enjoyed a renaissance in recent years, I do feel like they're very deliberately nodding to that. Possibly. That's my take on it anyway. But aside from that, I don't really have anything to say. Oh, well, there's a Dutch angle, a Dutch tilt in that photo of Jodie. But other than that, I mean, what can you say about these two photos? Like I say, the mindset of the publicity people, oh, this will do. It's just, you don't need a full-blown trailer, but at the same time, I felt that this probably wasn't enough. As for the chat itself, it was very heavily edited. They made no secret of the fact that it was pre-recorded to avoid problems with internet and such and the like. But I do miss the kind of, there's a lot to be said for how loose these live convention things, when they do happen live, they go off on tangents and things, and I think it was maybe a bit too heavily edited, but it says a lot about the fact it was so tightly edited, and you can tell where the edits are, and clearly some brutal chopping took place, and it still feels pretty insubstantial. You learn nothing during these 30 minutes other than, oh, it's such fun working with each other and we love this job so much. But it doesn't really give you much of a behind-the-scenes glimpse. None of my questions were really answered as to, I would have liked Chris to have been there and, what was your thinking behind the Timeless Child? Which is not a theory I like, but I'm genuinely, I want to know what was going through his head. Things like that, sort of, with these conventions and the sort of behind-the-scenes stuff, it's not really been as in-depth. Even in Doctor Who magazine, they haven't really gone behind the scenes in the same way. It's all a bit too hush-hush and secretive. This goes back to my point of it being too low-key. We did get that little clip with Chibnall talking about Series 12 and going back to mythology, but that's just a marketing video. It's not really in-depth enough for my liking. Certainly not in-depth compared to, say, 5-10 years ago when we had Doctor Who Confidential and stuff. All these things we don't get anymore. It's all just 3-minute YouTube videos and yeah. And the chat itself, very little happened. Interesting to note that Tozen Call wasn't there for whatever reason. Some interesting comments. The only interesting comments that were made during the chat towards the end about Series 13. The recent rumours that filming has already started were debunked. Jodie Whittaker going, oh, we're certainly prepping for filming, and we're hoping to start filming before the end of the year. I mean, it's October now. They haven't got a lot of time left. From the sounds of it, they don't know when they're going to go back filming. I don't think we can expect a series of Doctor Who anytime soon. Certainly not next year. It's going to be 2022 at the earliest. I've always assumed that. It shouldn't come as that great a surprise. And again, that's dependent on there being... Because it's just going to take too long to make. It takes them 10 months at the best of times to make 10 episodes. Used to take 9 months to make 14 episodes with all the spin-offs on top. And they're taking longer and longer to make it, and COVID is just going to make that process longer because you've got the extra restrictions like social distancing. And I'm sure they're still going to want to make Series 13 the way they'd always wanted. Chibnall's got his long-term plans, and COVID's probably bugging them up a bit. But they're probably going to take even more time to make it, and of course, it will take longer, and that's dependent on there not being extra restrictions. And that's the problem, the uncertainty of it as well. And all the restrictions. Currently, Cardiff is under local lockdown effectively. And that doesn't seem to have any sign of... I'm not local to Cardiff, so I haven't really been following it, but that doesn't seem to be easing up. So don't be surprised if actually filming doesn't start until the new year, because there's just no point. They could start in December and do 5 minutes of filming. But really, what would be the point of that? Bradley Walsh made some interesting comments that apparently Series 13 is going to be really good. My phone going off again. But he said it was going to be a series of Titanic proportions. Interesting comments to make, because a lot of people have been reading into this and his body language, and because, of course, the rumour is he's supposed to be leaving along with Tosin Coyle after this special. And people have been noting the word Titanic and wondering what the connotations of that could possibly be. But I'll leave that to your own imaginations. I don't know what to make of it myself. I just, like most people, I was just a bit bemused by the whole event. It just felt too tightly edited, very controlled. It's like, we don't want to do it live in the flesh. Let's take advantage of the fact we don't have to do that. They didn't really do, other than Comic-Con in 2018, where they kind of had to, because there was all this publicity they had to do. They haven't really been going to the conventions and publicising the show. Chris Chibnall himself made comments that he prefers to make the show rather than publicise it. And I understand there have been budget cuts to the publicity department, but really, as an excuse, that can only get you so far. But yeah, I'm just like most people, I'm just disappointed at the missed opportunity. But that's just me being grumpy. I'm still looking forward to Revolution of the Daleks, even though knowing Chibnall, it'll probably be not that good. But I'm just looking forward to the idea of sitting down on Christmas Day to watch an episode of Doctor Who. It'll be... If nothing else, it'll be a nice light distraction from everything going on. Well, that's my hope anyway, but we know what Chibnall's like. So there we go. That was a very impromptu, rushed voiceover. I couldn't even be asked to edit visuals to this, so I'm leaving that to Oliver. And that will probably be my last contribution to the channel for the time being, because I'm currently focusing on university. My final video for this channel will be going live on Friday, I believe. The teaser for it is already out. It's The Trial of Cynical Who, and it's basically a straight-up review of Trial of a Time Lord. And, of course, it will be very serious, no joke passages whatsoever. Because that's what Season 23 deserves. Serious, constructive criticism. Very in-depth. So, look forward to that. It has been a pleasure. This isn't the end. I'm sure I'll be returning to this channel at some point. I hope I will. But trust me, you'll be in safe hands. It's been a pleasure doing videos for this channel over the last... sort of... November was when we did our first video, so it's nearly a year now. And it's been very interesting to have somewhere where I can talk about Doctor Who. And yeah, I hope it's been as much fun for you as it has been for me, because that's really what it's all about. So enjoy life. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.